Hello class, this is Dr. Wilkinson. This narrated PowerPoint is intended to reduce your anxiety a bit for week 3, since we won't be meeting with the first group on Monday and we'll be meeting all together on Wednesday this week because of the holiday. I just wanted to give you a preview of what we'll be talking about this week, what you'll be studying in your out-of-class activities, and what your assignment will be by the end of the week regarding the curriculum map. The learning targets for this week have to do with learning targets. Understanding that there are various levels or types of targets, understanding how to classify them, and then being able to write student-friendly learning targets using the I can and this means format, which I'll describe in a moment. Learning targets are different than standards. They're more short-term, they're measurable, they specify the learning that will happen, while the standards are longer term and are limited in detail. This means the learning targets are more teachable and that they're a part of a series of targets that when put together result in the achievement of the standard. So there are several types of learning targets. One is knowledge and understanding. This is the basic level to know something. The next level is reasoning, that is taking knowledge and being able to analyze it or synthesize it, to compare and contrast it, to create more knowledge and understanding. A skill is the application of this knowledge and reasoning, and a product is a special application, using a skill to create something. Stiggins, who identifies these terms for learning target levels, also mentions a disposition target. He makes a very good point that how the student feels about his learning, about the instruction, and about his potential for success is crucial to our success as a teacher. So his disposition is important. The way we identify the level of a learning target is through the verbs that are used in the objective. So in the objectives you've already captured from the UEN core curriculum for Utah has verbs, and you'll be using these verbs to classify the learning targets and completing the fourth column in your curriculum map. So verbs like remembers, explains, or describes would identify knowledge targets. I'm including a table in Learning Suite for week 3 under the Content tab with verbs in it to help you complete your assignment for this week, to classify the objectives. So these are some verbs for the reasoning targets and some verbs for skills targets. I noticed that I meant to say flips on a trampoline instead of rides on a trampoline, although that might be a pretty interesting skill by itself. So here are some verbs for product targets. This little graph just shows that these learning targets and learning target types don't stand alone. They actually build on each other. So it's impossible to engage in reasoning with a set of facts or concepts unless you know them first. So here's a standard from the Common Core State Standards on inferences. Once again, it's broad, it's longer term, it can't be taught or measured as it stands, so we break that standard down into student-friendly learning targets. You've already brought the objectives over from the Utah core curriculum for certain standards, so you've broken them down to a point. But this takes that objective and restates it in student-friendly terms. To do this, you use an I can statement. I can define an inference. In many cases, we need to add information to this with a this means statement. So in the first instance here, we say this means that I can explain that an inference is information, etc., etc. So student-friendly learning targets use I can and this means to break the objective down into more understandable terms for both the student and the teacher. So how does knowing this make us more effective? Well, knowing the learning target levels allows us to plan instruction and assessments that align with those target levels and make the instruction more relevant and more effective. We're able to classify the learning target types and then restate them in student-friendly language, which helps both us as the teacher and the student focus on the learning to be achieved. So for this week, your goal is to complete the last two columns in your curriculum map. First, to classify all the objectives you've inserted with a learning target type. You look at the verbs in the objectives, you determine the learning target type, and then you'll be writing student-friendly learning targets in the I can and this means format. You'll be reading resources linked out of Learning Suite. This little presentation wasn't intended to get you to mastery of this content, simply to get you started, to understand where you're heading, and to reduce the anxiety a little bit that might be caused from the short week. So good luck with this, and we'll see you Wednesday in class.